Now, I've been in VR since 2016, and there's not many VR games that take me by surprise. But for the last few days, I've been playing one of the most immersive and impressive PCVR games I think I've ever played. Holding your hands up to the sun allows you to see through your skin. Drinking can be done by cupping your hands and bringing them to your mouth, or simply putting your lips to the water. Pulling apart a coconut is simply incredible the first time you do it, because the way you have to peel the shell makes your brain believe this is actually happening. The vines you need to climb are bouncy. You can use coconut shells to collect drinking water. The weather changes, and I experienced some of the heaviest rain I've ever seen in any game, and the thunderstorms are beautiful and terrifying. If you put too much gunpowder in your gun, it'll explode out of your hands. There's a boss fight, there's treasure to find, permanent unlocks, and I could easily keep going on and dropping bullet points about how I think this game is so incredibly immersive. And I also want to point out that games like this simply cannot exist outside of virtual reality. But I still feel like I can't fully express how immersive Bootstrap Island is. I know survival games are not for everyone, because in VR so far I feel they have been sometimes pretty complicated, or they have frustrating mechanics, or they simply don't feel very rewarding. But Bootstrap Island is the exception, and it also has roguelike elements, so every time you die you unlock new gear depending on how many days you survived on the island. And the basics of human survival are actually the easy part. All you need to do is stay hydrated, eat things like oysters.
The oozy mollusk was difficult to keep down.
Crab kebabs, exotic fruit, and then survive each night. The game is made up of 5 or maybe 6 chapters, but you only know this by exploring. There's no map, so you have to use points of interest to navigate this absolutely stunning island, and there's a colossal volcano that explodes every single morning. And the first few times this happens, you can't help but stop what you're doing and watch this marvel unfold in front of you. I actually can't believe how awesome it looks due to the sense of scale. The narrator is awesome, the music is brilliant, as it can uplift a tranquil moment in the day, but drop to a sudden sense of doom, adding pressure when you're trying to survive the night. And I haven't even started talking about the graphics, which are absolutely stunning. If you have the hardware, seeing every tree rendered in real time makes you feel like you're actually on this island. The sea is stunning, and as fish you can catch, the trees react to the wind, you can touch the leaves, there's birds flying in the sky, wildlife is roaming all around, and overall it simply adds up to one of the most visually immersive VR survival games I think you will ever play in 2026. And one of the best things about this game, with all that aside, is the longer I played, the more I learn, and therefore the longer I survived, and then each run becomes more rewarding than the last. Don't get me wrong, it's not easy. I died a lot, and even though the developers offered me save files to help me show you certain parts of the game, this video is actually based purely on my own gameplay, and along the way I made some crazy mistakes. I accidentally stumbled into the boss area without any weapons and got rightly killed, but eventually I made it to the shipwreck, and then I suddenly died due to falling. But the next time I got to the shipwreck, which took me only 3 nights as opposed to the first time which took me 6, and I got the permanent unlock so I can carry a pistol, gunpowder and ammo. And what I love best about this game is that you can play the whole thing seated. I obviously went into this, like most VR games, standing, but after a few hours I needed to take a break, so I was really glad the seated mode is well done. The developers have said this game takes around 10 hours to complete, but in my experience I've actually done about 8 hours and I'm still only 50% through it, so I would recommend everyone go in blind and just enjoy the struggle and the grind of the game. There's also all the comfort options you would need, and the full release has included the option to have just hands or arms for your character, and I personally prefer having arms. And there's also now the inclusion of an actual story, which unlocks memories the more you progress. The developers have also added a custom mode and a peaceful mode, allowing you to simply explore the island in your own way. These options have been added due to player feedback, because as I said, this game is pretty tough and it doesn't hold your hand. When you first wake up, and this can be in any random location on the island, you have no way of carrying items and you have no way to defend yourself apart from the use of fire. But again, I feel that's what makes this game pretty special. It's a VR simulation of being stranded on an island, but it's also an adventure. The first hardship of Bootstrap Island is definitely surviving the night, and the first few times you go through this process, it's actually terrifying. As the sun goes down, you will be left in complete darkness, so you have to build a fire or you will definitely 100% die. It's best to make a shelter in a cave, but second to that, try and make a fire in the corner to protect your back. And then you have to wildly swing fire to keep the creatures away from you, and this is where I've come across my first negative. The animals often get stuck in the environment, which does break immersion slightly, but it's a minor gripe to everything else this game has done for me so far. Overall, this has been one of the most atmospheric and immersive games I've ever experienced. I spent 3 days in a cave because the storm was so severe I couldn't even see where to go, and I also found out that everything is affected by the rain, so my weapons sometimes won't work, wood has to dry before it becomes flammable again, and simply put, this game is a fantastic survival experience. I really do recommend it to anyone who owns a PC, and if they do a good job on the PSVR 2 port, I'm already telling you now, this game 100% gets my buy recommendation. It's a VR indie gem that I feel deserves a lot of praise. Well, that's all I've got for you today. Thank you to anyone who likes and subscribes, and I look forward to hearing your thoughts on this game if you pick it up, and I'll see you on the next one.